Hi, earlier on today we wrapped up a presentation online with over 200 people, and it was all about the state of tourism digital marketing in 2025. Now, there's a really surprising example that showed about how hard it is that businesses make it to get in touch with them for their customers. Now, this is applicable to all businesses, not just tourism. So I'd encourage you to go and check some of this little snippet from the webinar to see if your business suffers from the same mistakes as the like of Emirates Airlines. So this isn't just for the small businesses. This is massive businesses that make this mistake day in, day out. I mean, it's making it really hard for your customers to get in touch with you. Watch the snip and go and check this out on your own website today. So I changed the title of this one to be a little bit cheeky and say, are you playing hard to get? Now, you might think some of the last numbers I gave were a bit surprising. This is the biggest shocker that we see all the time, almost every week, because we love traveling, whether it's locally, domestic, internationally. The amount of times we try and phone people and it's really hard to get hold of them, or a lot harder than it should be. Now, you might not believe this, but when I talk about some of these stats, don't think that it's just the small companies that this applies to, because we'll have companies here on the call that are going to be probably quite new, and we've probably got ones that are bringing in tens of millions a year, which kind of reflects the client base that we've worked with, and we'll have people from all over. But if you think it doesn't apply to you, 20.707% of businesses similar to yours are making it harder than it needs to be to get in contact with you. Almost 80% of you have visible phone numbers, which you would expect. I don't know what the other 20% are doing. I mean, there will be some tourism businesses, you're always out and about, so you maybe always want people to email or contact form, but that's a big sign of trust and proof if you don't have a number on there. But even the ones that had phone numbers on them, only about 48% of them had actual clickable phone numbers on their website. So if you think of someone sitting like this person in the image here, and you're on your phone, you're looking for things to do, you're ready to book, and you see a phone number, you tap it, and it's not clickable. It's really frustrating. Now, some phones will work that out themselves. They'll recognize that that's a number, even if the right code isn't behind that number, and it'll dial it. But if it's not clickable from a technical perspective, you definitely can't be tracking how many clicks you're getting on that phone call. There's also some advanced stuff. If you're running Google Ads and other ads, you can swap out phone numbers so you get even more accurate tracking, but we won't cover that today. So if your numbers aren't clickable, they're not tracked in analytics. And even if they are clickable, you need to configure your analytics to be able to track that. And only about 13% of the businesses that we looked at were sending phone call clicks into their analytics. Now, that's a big thing, which we'll get to with a real life example soon. But the other thing you've got to watch for, regardless of all this, is check your phone number formats on your website, because they're not always what they seem. Sometimes I actually wonder if website developers ever travel, right? Because you'll see on here, this is Emirates Airline, which would be considered as one of the premium airlines. When we were traveling back to Europe the last time, well, a couple of times ago, we had a big delay and we had to contact them. And hopefully you can see the slide big enough, but this number here on the left-hand side is New Zealand phone format. Now, this looks like a perfectly formatted phone number, but behind the scenes, when we clicked on that, that's not what it looked like on the phone, and it went to an incorrect dial tone. So this screenshot is a couple of years old. On Tuesday, I said, I wonder if that's changed now. So I actually went to look at the same page again, and they've gone even worse phone number format now. They've got plus 0508. So when I dial that on my phone number, when I'm stuck, frustrated with Emirates in a phone in an airport with a delayed flight, it goes to plus 05, which when I click that green button, it says a message saying this phone is not valid. Now, I know all I've got to do is put plus 64, but if someone's looking to book an activity and they've researched in 3 people, that might be enough to put off that sale. And it's the simplest thing to look at. And you can see here, when we're talking about this stuff, it's not just the small companies that have things like this, it's the big guys as well. So this isn't about putting blame, it's just about making sure that you can check these things. The other thing as well is Don't assume that if the number looks okay in your website is going to successfully dial, because you can see this one on the left is actually looking like you would dial on the phone. You could use 0064508 in this case, or if that works, if people are going to type it in on a desktop or a landline, but this phone number is your cell phone number format, which I'm sure most of you know here. But it's amazing when we've seen issues like this and they're adamant that, the phone numbers are right on the website, because they look at what it looks like on the page and it's very different when you actually hit the number. And to show you how confusing that can be, here's one for Galway Bay Hotel. Again, we had to stay here for a week unexpectedly when we traveled a couple of years ago. And you can see here the phone number format on the website kind of looks okay. When I dial it, the phone even recognizes Galway Bay Hotel. But when I dial it, there's no plus sign, there's no 00 sign. What happens when I hit the green number? This number is not valid. Really frustrating from a customer perspective, and you'd be amazed at how often we see this on websites. So the thing about this as well is that hardly ever anyone will make that effort to actually tell you that this is happening. Now, I know when we were running ads, for example, we had a link, a very subtle link on our ads that led to a broken page, and it took us quite a while to track it down. So it happens to us as well. But this is such a fundamental thing that you can go away and test after today. And remember, if it looks okay, it's not necessarily means that it's going to work. And try and meet your customers where they are as well. Remember, it's depending on your market. A lot of our customers are international here, so they will be on international cell phones. So you want that international code there as well. So just to recap that, there's about 41% of businesses had clickable phone calls and emails, but only 60% had contact forms actually tracked. About 11% of businesses were tracking both email clicks and phone call clicks. And only about 33% of businesses were using what's called Google Tag Manager, which is a more sophisticated way of tracking your analytics. So that implies that a lot of businesses aren't tracking the more advanced events like email clicks, phone call clicks, and other custom events. And only about 24% of businesses were having newsletter forms. Now, the thing that is really important for phone calls, as some of you will know, I'm just going to check my slides here. Yeah, so what's really important about this is, depending on what type of business you are, some tourism businesses still have a lot of phone call bookings, even though you might have a lot of online. So in 2024, about 62% of businesses like yours were hard to contact. 2025, it's not actually changed that much. In fact, it's got a little bit worse. But this is important because if you're not tracking that, you might be underreporting the successes of your campaigns. And it also means that'll be harder to justify budgets. So we used to work with a luxury golf resort, and when we started taking over the Google Ads, the first thing we asked them was like, how many of your bookings are coming through the phones? And because it was a more premium experience, it was about 50% of their bookings. They were not tracking phone call clicks at the time. So depending on the results of those campaigns, you might have paused that campaign prematurely because you think, well, it's not actually giving us the revenue that you want. But we had the front desk know, they knew what their conversion rate was for incoming phone calls into reservations. So we put average order values against each phone call click without, overestimating it. We'll put quite realistic numbers in. And the results that we could report on were much, much better than they were considered to be initially, which means it was a lot easier to justify budgets and get bigger budgets. So these things are really important, even though they seem really simple. So check to see if you are tracking phone call clicks and email clicks and contact form submissions after today. So what are you sitting around here for? Go and check your own website and see if you suffer from the same issues, because it's so common, and we love to do content like this. So give us a little like and subscribe. I've got to ask for that. That'd be great. Thanks a lot. Enjoy your day.